Good morning, everyone. I'm San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria. Pleased to be here, starting our day off in Pacific Beach. Not a bad place to be. Am I right, Council President? That's right. I'm pleased to be joined this morning by our Congressman Scott Peters, our City Council President, and the member representing this district, Dr. Jennifer Campbell, President and CEO of our San Diego Housing Commission, Rick Gentry, and a Pacific Beach resident. His name is Eric Norris. You'll be hearing from him momentarily. Also have some additional featured guests from 211 San Diego, whoever that is driving by, and my friend Whitney Benzian with the California Apartment Association. All the folks who have been working together on this issue of rent relief and making sure that tenants can stay in their homes and landlords receive the money they need to stay afloat. So we are here this morning to provide San Diegans an update on the city's progress on getting badly needed assistance to San Diegans who are still struggling financially under the COVID-19 pandemic. And I believe we have some great news to share. The city launched its COVID-19 Housing Stability Assistance Program back in March of this year. Using funding appropriated by the U.S. Congress, our program to help residents pay rent and utilities began with $83.7 million. This morning, I'm proud to report that 93% of that initial funding, nearly $78 million, has made its way to the people who need it in our city. Nearly 9,500 San Diego households have been helped so far. Our San Diego Housing Commission is working constantly to get the rest of that assistance out the door and into hands of needy tenants and landlords. The remaining $6 million has been set aside for residents who have applied and whose applications are currently in process. To my friend Rick Gentry, I want to say thank you, sir, to you and to your team for the incredible work that you have done for the people of San Diego, particularly those who have been hurting. Now is the time to certainly distribute more of that help because more applications continue to come in. On July 27th, the City Council authorized the San Diego Housing Commission to send another $51 million to San Diego families and individuals in need. And I want to thank our Council President for her leadership in making sure that that item passed successfully. Thank you, Council President Campbell. This new funding is a direct federal allocation to the City of San Diego, thanks to the members of Congress who represent our region. And I'm pleased to tell you that that is not the end of it. So we have the money that has already been expended, the $51 million that the council president just helped to allocate, and the city has now received another $34 million in federal funding that was allocated to us by the state of California. Appreciation to our Governor Gavin Newsom as well as members of the state legislature. So we will soon be asking the City Council to authorize those additional dollars to be put into our Housing Stability Assistance Program this fall. All of that is to say, we have significant resources that we've already expended to San Diegans, and we have more help that's on the way. So I want to be clear in this regard. None of this, not one nickel of this money would have been possible without extreme leadership from our Congressman Scott Peters and the other members of our San Diego delegation who represent us so ably back in Washington, D.C. In total, it is nearly $170 million for San Diegans who have been hammered financially by this public health crisis. Scott Peters served, as many of you know, as on the City Council for 8 years. He was the first City Council president in city history. We like to call him the George Washington of council presidents. And he understands the impact this assistance will have on San Diegans, on people in neighborhoods just like Pacific Beach. Congressman Peters, I'm grateful for your leadership. I'm grateful for your hard work. I'm thankful for your friendship and your continued champion of the needs of the city of San Diego. I invite you to say a few words this morning. Thank you, sir.
Thanks. Thank you. I guess that makes you Thomas Jefferson.
Yes.
Thank you very much. And this is a very, very important issue. We've been working on it very hard throughout the pandemic. Preventing evictions has been a critical piece of the puzzle to maintain Americans' safety and health. Keeping Americans housed meant one less worry for those struggling economically. Last year, the CARES Act established a federal eviction moratorium that began on March 27, 2020. It was set to expire on August 23rd, 2020, and since then the CDC, under its authority to deal with health issues, and Congress extended the moratorium several times to ensure families and individuals can continue living in their homes, which helps all of us avoid the spread of infection. As we've seen, this measure was also an extension of people's peace of mind, and one of my constituents will share with you the assistance he received that made a real difference. Separately, state and local governments, including California and San Diego, issued their own moratoriums. People counted on those levels of protection when the most recent federal moratorium expired in June. And I'm grateful to the local and state teams who worked hard to get this relief to those who needed it. Thankfully, the Biden administration found a 60-day fix for the lapse in the federal eviction moratorium, and we're all reminded of the importance of this federal protection. And for many families, that was the only thing that kept them from being displaced in their homes. But I want to remind you that these moratoriums will not go on forever. Rent relief is a part of the story, but we can't forget the growing hardships many landlords have faced, and I think Whitney may tell us about that. Many property owners in San Diego rely on the income they get from those monthly rent payments to pay for their own properties, to pay for their own bills, and to take care of their own families. And I'm particularly concerned about the smaller landlords who've largely had to pay major expenses out of pocket, everything from mortgage to maintenance costs. So that's why we voted for this rent relief, folks. We voted to borrow $46.5 billion for rental assistance to Americans. And San Diego's received, as Mayor Gloria said, $200 million for renters and landlords. Providing these funds was a first step. But the most critical step is dispersing this relief. And I'm really happy to hear the good news that again, in San Diego, we're doing pretty well. We're doing very well. San Diego did good work to get this money out of the door. And the City Council has authorized the second round of relief. That's really good news. But I really want to encourage every San Diegan who's been unable to pay the rent to check to make sure what benefits are available to you. And I think Rick Gentry will tell you exactly how to do that. But we need to make sure that you get your rent paid. You're going to owe that money. And when the eviction comes around, there's no reason with all this money out there that you can't take advantage of these resources and make sure that you can pay your rent, stay in your place as these eviction moratoriums expire, as they inevitably will. We need to make sure that the landlords get the funds that they're owed, and the only way we can make that possible is for renters to apply for that relief and access that relief. So we're not out of the woods yet, but I'm very encouraged by our recovery. I really want to thank Mayor Gloria again for his leadership and the San Diego Housing Commission and the City Council for bringing this important event together for awareness to make sure if you owe rent that you take advantage of these resources. The federal government has been there for you. The local authorities want to make sure you get that, and we want to make sure you stay in your home for your own protection, but really for your family and for everyone else. So thanks again for putting this together, Mayor, and I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Council President Jennifer Campbell.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I think Scott Peters is fabulous. I am very complimented that he called me his colleague. That I've campaigned for him since he first decided he was going to run for Congress, and I'm so glad that he's there protecting us. And I want to thank. I'm going to say a lot of thank yous. I just want to say that we're here today to recognize the great work that's been done to keep San Diegans who've suffered during the COVID-19 pandemic with a roof over their head and be able to get their past due utility bills paid as well. That's also part of the program. It's important to be here in Pacific Beach to speak to you today because this community was ground zero of the worst initial economic devastation of this pandemic. In the spring of 2020, with dining and tourism decimated by the pandemic, unemployment in Pacific Beach was 30%. Many people wondered how they'd be able to stay in their homes. Against this devastating background, a team of local electeds and leaders stepped up to create the Housing Stability and Assistance Plan, which is what we're talking about. This group of individuals representing us at the city, state, and federal government levels stepped up to make sure San Diegans were protected and safe. These leaders created a program to help with rent and utility bills owed because of the COVID economic crisis. This is a new program for rental assistance, and so it needed to be done as fast as possible. And I want to recognize some of our local leaders who helped make this possible. First of all, I want to thank our dear mayor, my favorite mayor, Todd Gloria, and his team for advocating on behalf at the state and federal levels to secure our fair share of these emergency dollars. Under his leadership, we've been able to help more San Diegans navigate through these perilous times. We are so grateful for our federal partners, especially Congressman Scott Peters, who helped us secure funding for this program in the American Rescue Plan and all the other fundings that are coming available. And I want to thank Rick Gentry, the head of our Housing Commission, and the entire team at the San Diego Housing Commission for everything they've done to help us with the immensely difficult task of administering these programs during one of the most challenging times in our history. Their advocacy helped ensure that 100% of back rent, not just 80% as was in the initial program, but 100% of back rent and even some forward rent, you will be eligible to get covered under this program. And utilities, if you owe for utilities. The Housing Commission team came up with a process to make it possible for landlords and renters to have back rent paid. And I want to thank the many community nonprofits that helped renters understand and apply for the program. The Housing Stability and Assistance Program is another example of what we can accomplish when all branches of our government work together to solve problems on the local level. Together, we have greased the usually very slow-moving wheels of government, and this work does not end here. Now we must make sure that even more of those who have been impacted by this pandemic can access these funds to pay back rent, utilities, and avoid unnecessary eviction. There is still more than $50 million available for people in the city who've been impacted by the pandemic, so let's continue to get the word out and encourage folks to apply. Please let everyone you know that may need help with rent and past due utility bills to go to this website, sdhc.org. Very simple. San Diego Housing Commission, it's sdhc.org, and immediately the proper page will show up on your screen, and the information for application will be right there. Thank you for being here today and spreading the good news. And I would like to introduce one of my heroes, Rick Gentry, who made this all possible. Thank you so much, and he will give you even more information. Thanks, Rick.
Thank you, Dr. Jen, and good morning. The COVID-19 Housing Stability Assistance Program continues to provide relief and hope to families with low income. These are households that have struggled to pay their rent and utilities. Thousands of families have already received help. However, more families continue to need help, and we continue at the Housing Commission to receive new applications each and every day. At this point, we have received more than 18,000 applications as this program launched, and an additional 16,800 applications have been started and are pending completion. The new funding we're talking about today means help is available for more families in the weeks and months ahead. And at the San Diego Housing Commission, we want to make sure that everyone who may qualify for the program applies for help and finds out. The applications do remain open. Let me repeat both the telephone number and the website address to apply for assistance here. You may apply online at covidassistance.sdhc.org, or as Dr. Campbell just said, just Google the Housing Commission, go to our webpage, go to sdhc.org, and the instructions on the homepage will direct you on how to apply. Or, if you're low-tech like I am, call the phone number. The phone number is 619-535-6921. That's 619-535-6921. What I would do, call the number, ask for help, staff will help you. In addition, the Housing Commission has created videos to help guide both applicants, tenants, and the landlords through the application process. I'll point out that these videos are available in English, Spanish, and Vietnamese. And again, just go to our website or call the number. A number of thank yous I want to do here as well. I want to thank Mayor Gloria for his continuing leadership and commitment to helping San Diegans in need through this program. He is our housing mayor. He was on the Housing Commission years ago. He was the go-to person on the Housing Commission for housing issues back then, and also on the City Council. So our housing mayor is Mayor Gloria, and Mr. Mayor Gloria, thank you for your continuing leadership. The Housing Stability Assistance Program, as you've already heard, is possible because of the federal funding which has been allocated to the city. Thank you as well, Congressman Peters, former head of the City Council, for your support of these rent relief funds and this program. My thanks also go to Council President Jennifer Campbell and the entire City Council for their support. I also want to acknowledge the members of the San Diego Housing Commission Board who continue to provide valuable insight and leadership for this program. And finally, the people who do the work, the real work, and that is the staff of the Housing Commission. And for this program, under the able leadership of Azucena Valladolid here with us, with a lot of support from staff like Molly Chase, who have made this program work. Also here with us today are representatives from 211 San Diego who have provided essential help with connections and applications. 211 San Diego, thank you. And finally, I'm going to turn the mic over to the next speaker. And we are joined here today by one of the San Diego renters that this program has assisted. Eric has been able to remain in his rental home here in Pacific Beach because of the help he received from this program. And it is my distinct pleasure right now, an honor to introduce to you Eric, a program participant. Eric, if you would please.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Eric. The COVID-19 Housing Stability Assistance Program has been a blessing for me. It has helped me a lot and kept me on my feet, for sure. I have my master's degree in computer engineering. I had a good job before COVID started, and the pandemic caused my business to shut down. The business to shut down. Early in the pandemic, I lost my job. I tried to find work, but no one was hiring. Over time, I was down to my last $500, and my savings and my bills and rent was unpaid. My car was repossessed, and a lot of other things was due. I feared becoming homeless. As a teen growing up in Dallas, Texas, I experienced being homeless with my family for about 3 years when I was younger. I did not want to go back to being homeless ever again. I do not want to go back to it, and I will not go back to it. When I heard about the City of San Diego's COVID-19 Housing Stability Assistance Program, I applied right away the first day that it started. The application was easy to fill out, and housing assistance from the San Diego Housing Commission was very helpful to help me through the process. She called me to let me know when my documents were due and called my landlord and made sure they knew what was going on. The help I received from the City of San Diego and the San Diego Housing Commissions through this program saved me through a tough situation. I'm getting back on my feet now. I have a new job, thank God. It's a great stress reliever knowing that I will be able to stay in my apartment because of this program. After I applied, my landlord also worked with other tenants in my apartment complex to help get started in the program. This help is real. Please apply if you can. Please apply. I encourage you, if you need help, to reach out. And I'm very grateful for this program, and thank you for all who made it possible. Thank you all so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. That's great. Eric, that was fantastic. Thank you for sharing your story. You know, I think all of us know that Eric's story is not unique, sadly. Many, thousands and thousands of San Diegans who may not actually have gotten sick, but for whom the pandemic has exacted a terrible toll. And Eric, I appreciate you sharing your story because it empowers other San Diegans who may have been hesitant to use this program to apply, maybe thinking it's not for them or that it's too hard or difficult or is going to add to more anxiety to their already high level of anxiety. Thank you for sharing your experience, that it resolved your issue, that allowed you to stay housed. That's fantastic. And I know I speak for the entire team that's a part of this effort, how grateful we are that you availed yourself of this program. I want to remind San Diegans at the top, the numbers, these are some good stuff. 93% of the dollars allocated to us so far have been allocated, 9,500 San Diego households served, and probably most important part, tens of millions more coming available very soon. So I ask San Diegans to come forward. I want to stress that this assistance will become even more important as we emerge from the pandemic. You know, we had a housing crisis before the pandemic. There is one going on here in the middle of it, and there could be one far worse after if more families are not served through these programs. And so a reminder that the state's ban on evictions is scheduled to end on September 30th. Our city's eviction protections are set to end 60 days after the city declares an end to our state of emergency. As has been mentioned a couple of times, but it never hurts to get one last plug in. If you need help with rent or utilities, Council President kept drawing that attention. This is also available for your electricity, your water, your sewer. We know that in San Diego, tens of millions of dollars in unpaid water and sewer bills are out there. We want to encourage folks who are eligible to come forward and apply. Go to covidassistance.sdhc.org or just say sdhc.org. Either works. I mean, there is the internet. You can find this stuff. Find out if you're eligible, apply, and know that there are folks that are willing to help you. Great people like 211 San Diego, great folks like a number of community-based organizations. I want to send Scott Peters back to Washington next week, confident in knowing that his district, well, I don't really want to do that. We love having you here. If you can Zoom from there, that's fine too. But we want you to be able to go back and explain that San Diego's using these dollars efficiently and effectively. And as we look at the budget resolution, the infrastructure bill, other things that are out there, know that San Diego is always a good investment. We will take these precious resources and use them well, help people like Eric make sure they can stay on their feet. And last thing I would just point out, and Eric got to this from his personal experience, it's important for all of us to acknowledge that homelessness is at absolutely unacceptable levels in our city, in our state, and in our nation. And to the extent that these 9,500 San Diego families will not be added to the thousands that are currently on our streets, that's a good thing. We absolutely have to work every single day, and the Council President and I are working together to make sure that the 8,000 or so who are on our region streets today are able to have better options going forward. But one of the best ways we can do that is to prevent people becoming homeless. That's what this is. And if you're in this position, if you're concerned, if you know the first of the month is coming in just a couple of weeks, make sure you check out that website and get yourself some help. Thank you all for being here this morning. We're available for one-on-ones and appreciate your help us get out the word, particularly members of the media. Those 9,500 didn't always just find their way to the website. It's you guys, because you guys help me amplify this message, and I'm grateful you're here today. All right, everybody, thanks so much. Let's make it a good day, all right? Thank you.